You meet someone new, a handshake, a glance, maybe 3 seconds of eye contact in a crowded room, and before they say a single word, you already know something about them. You like them or you don't. You trust them or you don't. You decide, somewhere underneath your conscious mind, whether this person is safe. That decision takes about a tenth of a second, faster than you can blink twice, faster than you can finish reading this sentence. Your brain has already rendered a verdict on a total stranger, and you didn't ask it to. It just happened. But here's the strange part. That snap judgment, the one you'll later dress up with reasons and explanations, was not built for the world you live in now. It was built for a much older, much more dangerous one. Think about what a first impression actually requires. You have to take in a face you've never seen, extract meaning from its shape, its expression, its symmetry, and translate all of that into a single emotional reaction. Friend or threat, safe or unsafe, approach or avoid. And you have to do it instantly, because in the environment this system evolved in, hesitation could get you killed. Psychologist Alexander Todorov at Princeton spent years studying exactly how fast and how confidently people form these judgments. In one of his most famous experiments, he showed participants photographs of unfamiliar faces for just 1/10 of a second. Not long enough to consciously process features, not long enough to think. And still, people rated those faces on trustworthiness, competence, and likability with striking consistency. Different people, shown the same fleeting image, arrived at nearly the same verdict. Giving participants more time to look didn't change much. Half a second, a full second, even unlimited time. The ratings barely shifted. Whatever judgment your brain makes, it makes almost immediately, and then mostly just defends it. Why would evolution build something this fast and this confident, with so little actual information to work from? The answer starts long before cities, long before written language, long before most of what you'd recognize as civilization. For the vast majority of human history, your ancestors lived in small, close-knit groups. Everyone you encountered, you likely already knew. A stranger appearing at the edge of camp was rare, and rare things, in a survival context, are dangerous by default, because you have no information about them. When a stranger did appear, there was no time for careful analysis, no background check, no second date. Your ancestors needed an answer immediately. Is this person going to help me, ignore me, or kill me? Anthropologists studying small-scale societies, including extensive work by researchers like Sarah Hrdy on early human social bonding, have pointed to just how dependent survival was on rapid, accurate social judgment. Choosing wrong, trusting the wrong person, could end a life. Choosing too cautiously, rejecting someone who might have been an ally, could also be costly, but less immediately fatal. So the system that evolved was tilted, biased not toward accuracy, but toward speed and caution. A fast no is safer than a slow yes. This is where the structure of a face becomes almost unfairly important. Certain features, ones with absolutely no real connection to a person's actual character, trigger outsized reactions in your brain anyway. Wide eyes and raised eyebrows look more trustworthy. They resemble the face of surprise or innocence, an expression your brain associates with vulnerability rather than threat. Strong jawlines and lower brow ridges read as more dominant, sometimes more competent, sometimes more dangerous, depending on context. None of this is rational, none of this is fair, but your brain isn't asking whether it's fair, it's asking whether it's fast. Here's where it gets stranger still. This isn't unique to humans. Researchers studying facial recognition across species have found that many social animals, primates especially, show similar rapid categorization behavior when encountering unfamiliar members of their own species. The mechanism appears to be old, older than language, older than tools, possibly older than the modern human brain itself. You didn't learn to judge faces in a tenth of a second. You inherited the capacity to do it. Now think about what this means for your life today. You walk into a job interview, and the interviewer has already formed an impression of you before you've answered a single question. You swipe through a dating app, and you reject or save a profile photo in less time than it takes to read this sentence. You glance at a stranger on the street, and without choosing to, you've already filed them into a category. None of this is happening because you're shallow. It's happening because a piece of ancient survival software is still running quietly in the background of your modern brain, applying rules built for small tribal groups onto a world of 7 billion unfamiliar faces, and the consequences are not small. Studies on facial trustworthiness bias, including follow-up work building on Todorov's research, have linked first-impression facial judgments to real-world outcomes. People with faces rated as more trustworthy have, in some studies, received more lenient outcomes in legal and financial settings, independent of their actual behavior. A face shape can quietly tilt the odds of how a stranger is treated, long before that stranger has said or done anything at all. This is unsettling, but it's also clarifying. Once you know the mechanism, you can start to see it operating. The flinch of distrust you feel meeting someone with an unusually intense expression. The instant warmth you feel towards someone who smiles easily. The unexplained unease in a room with a stranger who simply has a face your brain has decided, instantly and without consultation, to flag as different. None of these reactions are moral judgments about the people in front of you. They're ancient pattern matches, fired off by a part of your mind that has never updated its training data. Knowing this doesn't shut the system off. You can't simply decide to stop forming first impressions. The process happens before conscious thought even begins. But you can do something almost as powerful. You can recognize the gap between the instant verdict and the actual truth. You can notice the reaction, and instead of acting on it immediately, hold it a little longer before deciding what it means. Because the 10th of a second that built your first impression was designed for a world where strangers were rare, dangerous, and unknowable in any other way. Today, strangers are everywhere. They are colleagues, neighbors, doctors, dates, future friends. The world has changed entirely. Your brain hasn't caught up yet, so the next time you meet someone and a verdict rises in you before they've even spoken, remember what that feeling actually is. It isn't insight, it isn't truth. It's an inherited reflex, borrowed from a world that no longer exists, still quietly running the moment you decide, somewhere underneath your conscious mind, whether this person is safe.